Are you looking for a simple, no frills way to teach your child to read? Check this out. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. I know for a lot of mamas, the biggest thing that they are afraid of when it comes to homeschooling is teaching their child to read. But can I be honest? I kind of loved it. Now, given I have not yet had any super struggling readers, so I know that can be totally different. However, I just love that aspect of the brain development when it comes to, taking these letters and realizing those letters have sounds, and then realizing those sounds come together to make words. Like, mind blown, right? And I love seeing that light bulb go off in kids' heads when they finally just get it. Now, for my 4th grader, when he was in pre-K kindergarten, I was using something else. I'm not gonna go into what it was, but we did not like it one little bit. In my head, I liked it and I liked the idea of it, and I think I would have liked it at his age, but it was worksheet upon worksheet upon worksheet upon worksheet every single day. And when you're asking a kid to write a whole bunch while learning how to read, it's just too much. It's too much. You need to keep kind of those two things separate, because this takes a lot of muscle. It takes a lot of brain power to try to, copy the words that you see and all of that. And then learning that, oh wait, these words that I'm writing down actually have a sound, and then they make the words and all the things. So I found it better to find a curriculum where writing and reading were totally separate. And so after we ditched that curriculum that caused near daily tears, we stumbled upon Ordinary Parent's Guide to Teaching Reading. Now, I hadn't really heard much about that, and so I was like, I don't know what this is. But the only reason I came across it is because it is part of the Well-Trained Mind curriculum, and I knew that their stuff was really, really solid. And so I said, you know what, let's just give it a try. And I went and found it used somewhere. I don't even remember where we bought this, but we have loved it. Ever since we switched to this, there have been no tears during phonics time, which is a huge deal. So let me go over some of the perks and maybe the downsides, but for me, I'm honest, there's really not one, and I would tell you if there was. So the first thing that I love about this is that the lessons are short. And so you're not gonna spend hours a day on this. You're not even gonna spend 1 hour. You're not even gonna probably spend 30 minutes. These are broken down into super short lessons. Second thing I love is that they are scripted. They tell you exactly what to say, what the child's answer should be, and then in bold print, the things that you need to work on reading with him or with you, depending on, how well they're reading. Now, something that really doesn't bother me about this curriculum, but is the one thing that some people probably would see as a con, is that there are no pictures or colors at all in here. It is just black and white words, nothing fancy. To me, that's actually a help, because there's no looking at a picture and guessing what you want the word to be. There's no getting distracted. My kids get easily distracted by anything that is color or picture related. So this actually helps me out a lot. But if you are one of those people that really likes, pretty things, this may not be for you. Also, this is a very gentle approach. Because the lessons are so short, you're not trying to get your kid to a certain, thing by the end of the day. They are very, very short. And so your attention span doesn't have to be really long. Your kiddo's attention span doesn't have to be really long. And lastly, I love how this book is self-paced. So there are actually over 200 lessons in here, which sounds like nuts, right? Yeah, there are 230 lessons in here. So this is not meant to be get all of this done by the end of kindergarten, okay? You can start this. I think they recommend age 5, but if your kid's learning their letter sounds already and you think that they're ready at age 4, you could start this at age 4. But the thing is, if they're struggling on a page, they do not want you to move forward to the next page until that page is more understood, which I really like that. They don't just expect you to keep going and going and going at a breakneck pace. They expect you to gently urge your child on each lesson. If they've got it, great, close up the book, start again tomorrow. If not, kind of sit there with them. Then if they're not getting it, close the book and just pick up on that same lesson tomorrow. And I love that about this. Now, a few things I will tell you about this is my 2nd grader didn't even finish this. So we started it when he was in kindergarten. He worked on it in 1st grade, and he still has a few lessons left, and he's in 2nd grade. but he knows how to read. So, I mean, we'll occasionally bring this out just to kind of give him that extra practice, but it's not something I force him to do every day because the kid's got it down. Like after a certain point, you just give them some books and let them practice, right? And also there are some other components that go along with this. I cannot speak to those. We never used them. We simply used this. And so there are some optional activities. Sometimes I would do them, sometimes I wouldn't, but it was typically stuff that you could just do yourself, either with a whiteboard or with flashcards or something that you can just make up yourself. Now I'm gonna turn the camera around and let you have a better look inside. All right, here's my cover. Little bit rough shape, but it's held up pretty well. Okay, first you'll have the table of contents, which is just broken up into the lessons and then the additional materials in the back. Here's the preface where she kind of talks about where she came up with this method, and then it tells you you can either begin right away or you can go to the reading readiness in the very back. And then here's a little bit more about this approach. And then we start in with the lesson. She kind of explains how you're going to be teaching it and the things that you might need for the lessons. And then here is the actual first lesson. And so all of this is labeled instructor. This is what you say word for word, which is really nice. And then things you might say together. And then what the child should respond with. And then there's a follow-up, sometimes not on every lesson, of things that you can do later in the day. But that's the whole lesson for the day. So yes, this is kind of plain, boring. Your kid's not gonna open this up and go, oh wow, awesome, cool. But you're in this for such a short amount of time that I don't think that's really an issue anyway. So you can see here in the beginning, they're just working on vowel sounds. Okay, so here's lesson 68. So this is further along in the book. Again, there's about 200, a little over 200 lessons in here. So here we will talk about E being a long E. We're talking about how E can change the first vowel. And then here's lesson 142, so even further along in the curriculum. And here we're learning those complicated GHT words. And so everything in bold is what you need to read to your child and then have them read back to you. If they're a little more advanced, you may not have to read it to them first. They might be able to just read it on their own. Here we are a lot closer to the end, talking about contractions. But as you can see, the lessons don't necessarily get any longer. They're still about a page, maybe a page and a half at most. The only thing that gets harder, obviously, is the words themselves. And also you have more to read as you get older. Here's lesson 225, getting really close to the end where we're doing those longer words. And then I like these very last lessons. Like I said, this is where you'll probably be closer to second grade, if not in second grade. And it's just exercising those reading muscles. So you're just breaking down these really long words and sounding them out. And then I love the very last lesson where you learn to read supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, which younger kids might not get that. I don't know. Okay, so here in the back, there is some information on preparing a young child to be a reader. Here, this talks a lot more about managing the reading session, so how you can kind of set up the lesson for more success. Here's how to encourage a reader, and then here's kind of a Q&A for the parent. And then here's a section about remedial reading with an older child. And then here's just an index to all the lessons, kind of saying what each chunk of lessons is going to be about. And here's your key to phonetic symbols if you aren't very good at those, which is kind of like me. I wasn't that good at those until I started using this program. And that's it. All right, I hope that gives you a better idea of what is inside Ordinary Parents Guide to Teaching Reading. I hope that you will try this out if you are just kind of burnt out and looking for a better way to do reading with your child. And we will use this with every kid until it doesn't work anymore. And when we get to that point, I'll look for something else. But if we never get to that point, this is what we'll use because it works every time for me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to connect with you and leave me a comment down below. What do you use to teach phonics? There's actually been a change of plans and I will be doing a day in the life collaboration on Thursday instead of Friday this week. Thank you so much and I'll talk to you next time.